Hey everyone, welcome to Deepskyphotography. Today we're reviewing the Sharpstar 61 EDPH III. So I've got a few accessories with it as well, reducer and flattener. We're going to be reviewing both of those. And it's going to be an in-depth review, so grab a coffee and we're getting stuck into it. Sharpstar EDPH. Obviously, this is my scope. I bought it. Well, I got it exchanged from my other one. I got an EDPH II. There's massive chromatic aberrations. This is the replacement for it. This is a 350, I believe, 360 focal length and f5.9. This does have a reducer flattener, and that reduces down to 270mm. And I believe it's 4.4 focal ratio as well. It also has now a field flattener, which keeps at its native focal length, but just flattens the field, which has its advantages and disadvantages, which we'll go into a little bit later on. You can see the colour. Sharpstar's gone over a massive change from the 2 to the 3. Firstly, they've got rid of all the gold, so there's a gold on the in the focus. There's gold here. This was a silvery gold knob as well. They've completely changed it to a dark red, white and black combination throughout, which is a good change. It's a very nice to look at. It's a very nice colour. If you use the ZWO system, it complements this very, very, very well actually. It's quite nice. The dew shield has been completely changed. It had a wobble on it, and when you pulled it up, it would slide back down. There is now a gripper. So thread gripper, so it clocks on that, and that is now in place solid, and it won't go absolutely anywhere. Used it the other night, put a light box on there, put a power bank on top of that, and it didn't go anywhere. Fantastic, hell of an improvement. Also, the lens cap does not want to fall off now, so that's quite a tight grip. And I'm also noticing the dew shield is actually a lot smaller than the EDPH II, which is not too bad. Not make much of a difference, but it is a change. But so far, the dew shield, fantastic upgrade. Much better. Other changes on this scope are the shoe, the dovetail shoe, which comes with it. The EDPH II had a really small 3-inch little shoe. As soon as you got that, you had to replace it because you could not get balance on it at all. So it's a massive difference when now you've got an 8-inch shoe on there. When you can adapt it and move it up and down. It's also been extended further down, a little bit down by about an inch bit. And what this is it allows for the installation of an EAF without having to switch and twist and turn the focuser and the camera and the actual scope itself to try and get it all to fit. Now it's literally the EAF will sit right underneath the shoe with no issues at all and connect straight to it. Fantastic. The only difference is the thread holes. Instead of there's one long gap, there is multiple gaps where you have to undo 4 bolts and shift up and down, put them in there. On larger mounts, it's not going to be an issue. So you do have the ability to move that shoe up and down. It's definitely a vast improvement from the last one. The housing which holds the telescope to the mount. So it's this part here, it's connected to this, and obviously connects to the shoe. It's a lot thinner, it's a lot smaller, it's not as wide now, and this thread bolt here, on the EDPH II, this clashed with this actual connection. So the clamp what held the telescope and the thread lock that held it all together, it clashed with the actual telescope and the actual thread itself. It's very hard to undo. It's got a very, very clear gap between it. You can get to it for it very, very easily. So you can unthread it and take the telescope out of the actual mount itself. So that's a very good change as well. Other changes is the rotator. On the EDPH II, the rotator was screw thread, and there was also an additional one on the reducer. They were very clumsy. You actually had to have a screwdriver to undo it, to turn it, and it was quite hard and screw it back together again. This one's been completely changed and revamped. It is now a finger lock thread, which is this part here, and you just unscrew it, and it will just literally rotate to as you want it, and thread it back up again. It's done. Quicker, simpler, fantastic. Much needed improvement. You can rotate on the scope on the other night. I rotated my camera with no issues at all. Far massive improvement from the last one. Absolutely brilliant. They've made some changes with the reducer, and this is obviously a 0.75 reducer, and it's now ever so slightly differently. So this part is inside your scope, the thread is under here, and this is the upper parts here. You have multiple threads here, so you have an extension rail which undoes all this together, which is this bit here. That gives you a 2-inch thread, and then you also have an adapter here, which is your M48, which will connect directly to your cameras and your back focuses and everything else. Anything which is like ZW, so your back focus and ZW, M48, this part will connect to. Very good. Both has a lens cap on either side, both metal. Very good. It's very good construction. This is very nice. Now, what has changed is, don't expect this one, is they've brought out a flattener for it. Now, this literally will unscrew here. What you do is exactly the same as with the reducer. You just got this part here. You unthread this very easily, very quickly. That's for both the reducer and for the straight fill flattener. Then you unscrew this thread here. That will connect straight to the telescope. And then you got your M48 here, and right here you have your 2-inch thread as well. Never tested the 2-inch thread. I used the M48 thread. Connects to the camera perfectly, no issues at all. If you undo the actual body as well, you can undo the body. Let's do this so I can drop it. If inside there, you can see it at all. Inside there is a thread, internal thread for a 2-inch filter. This is on both the flattener and the reducer as well. This is so you can put a filter in there. Not the best position in the world. I'm not complaining it's in there. So if you don't have a fill drawer, you can put the filters in there and just use your full back focus. I'd recommend getting a filter drawer. It's much easier. Once it's in there, you're not removing it unless you actually take apart the entire system, unplugging everything, undoing this, taking the filter, put it back in, and then you've lost your orientation as well, because there's no notches on the rotator, so it's very hard to get it back to where you wanted it. So yeah, it's okay. It's not cheap. These are like $199 for the fill flattener, which is about 160 quid. Same for the fill reducer, the flattener reducer. That's exactly the same price, 199 and about 160 pound. So the reducer, I can understand the price. That's actually quite a good price considering when you compare to other companies. So Skywatcher, their reducers are like 200, 230 quid, 240 quid. The fill flattener, I'm struggling to understand the cost of it. It's the same price as the reducer. The OVL, which is, I think it's got a range of 5.5 to 6, F ratio of 5.5 to 6. The scope is 5.5 as a base, so it should work with the OVL fill flattener. The only difference is you have to slot in the filled flattener. This one obviously threads in. That's the only difference to see, but the price difference on there, I'd probably say the OVL is probably a better choice, but although I never tested it. But theoretically it should work. It's good construction, solid construction. Again, it's okay. OVL one, it's cheaper. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fill flattener. If it works or not, I couldn't tell you. I never tested it, but theoretically, it should work. So, just to show the reducer flattener inside the scope. So that's the end part with the threads taken off. Slides right in and just does up. And then from this point here, it's 55mm back focus. You can obviously extend that to 99mm back focus, I believe, if you remove all this section right here. Don't see the point in doing that, but it is an option. So there is those parts there. Fits well. It's nice and light, very small field, and yeah, it's. I think I'm going to use this over the reducer, the flattener, field flattener. To be honest, I don't see the need for the field flattener as such. I prefer the faster focal length. Field flattener, again, like I said, the large part just connects straight on onto the thread. Makes it slightly longer, and from this point here, it's 55mm back focus. The 2-inch thread, from the 2-inch thread as well, would be the 55mm. To get additional to 99mm, remove this entire section here. So we've got there's a little line there. From that little line there, remove all that, and you can extend the back focus. But apart from that, it works well. It looks good. It flattens the field right way through the field of view. It's okay. As I said, I'm not like jumped back shocked for the field flattener, to be honest. But it does work. It does its purpose. It does it really, really well. Overall, the weight is just under 1.5 kilo for the OTA. With all my accessories, actually no, before that, with the field reducer flattener, it comes to about 2.3 kilo. With all my accessories on top of that, you're looking at about 4.5 kilo. So it's generally quite a light telescope. This will fit on my EQ5 Pro quite comfortably. The CCD suitability of this camera, if you use the field flattener, the 294mm will be an okay suitability, so you won't have to drizzle. Any other camera, you'll probably be drizzling, different and drizzling with the things. When you use the reducer, quite literally, absolutely every scope will near enough be undersampled. Absolutely every single scope will near enough be undersampled. It's not a bad thing. It's not an issue. It's again, nowadays you've got drizzling, you've got dithering. You dither during the night as you take pictures, so every couple frames it will move a couple pixels, and what it does is reduces the noise. And then you after that you go, and when you stack it, you drizzle it, and that'll expand the picture, which will reduce the blockiness of the stars. For wide field scopes such as this, doesn't really need it, I don't think. So I don't think it's really much of an issue with that one there. So the CD suitability is it's not really much of an issue. The field of view, it's quite a wide field. With the reducer flattener in there, I can get the Elephant's Trunk Nebula in the whole frame. This should, without the reducer, you'll be able to get Andromeda in the frame as well. So it's quite a wide field scope. It's quite a big scope. So it's relatively flat if you put the reducer on there. If you keep it as a native focal length, it will be quite a slow scope at f6. So it's quite a slow scope. Other things on there, the focusing, didn't have no issues of focusing on the night. As I said, using the EAF. With the narrow band, I had no issues at all. It focused it perfectly. With the broadband, mind you, I had a few issues with focusing. It didn't like the focusing on the native focal length. On a reducer, it's fine. On the full focal length, it didn't like it. So I switched off the autofocuser and just focused it myself and got it to pinpoint as much as I possibly can. I didn't have a star field generator to actually check my star sizes, so it was literally guesstimation. It came out okay, slightly bloated in certain stars, but it came out okay. So it's it was okay for focusing. The focuser is like a Crayford 2:1 ratio focuser. It works well. It's nice. I've never really used it as such. I don't manually focus. I usually use an EAF to focus nowadays. Luxuries of being bored. But it does have numbering system for when you are manually focusing, and you can get it to a focus, remember that point there, put it straight to that location, and then just fine tune it from that point onwards. Last night's targets was the Elephant's Trunk Nebula, IC1396, and the Great Globular Cluster of Hercules. I chose both of those. One because the moon was at 45%ish last night, so it's quite bright. It was in the night sky for most of the night, so I chose targets in the northeast direction. So to get not to worry about the actual moon. Obviously the globular cluster came out okay. It's just a test of stars. I was only checking for chromatic aberrations. There is none on this scope, anyway. And obviously then I checked the field for narrowband filters and how it coped with actual pictures, and then obviously the picture quality as well. So it came out really well. I'm actually quite impressed with how it came out. It's a yeah, the pictures I chose, I was basically to test the stars. I was always worried about really to see how the stars looked with the reducer and the field flattener. I say both of those came out with no aberrations at all, so they're very nice clear stars, circular stars, although slightly bloated on the M13, but that's a human error more than anything, I believe. But it came out pretty well. No issues at all during the night. It just sort of went on its own way, and I was bored half the night. Yeah, I'm quite impressed so far. So, final thoughts. Yeah, I like the scope. It's okay. It's really better, a lot better than the EDPH II. 100%. Obviously, can't dispute that. Much better dew shield, much better shoe, rotator, massive improvement. The focuser was fine. I didn't really use it, so I can't really comment on too much on the EOF on there. But it's a two-stage focusing system, fast and slow focuser. That works fine. It got adapters in there. The adapters are on the 1.25 and a 2-inch thread. It was done by a copper threading system. Probably put a picture up on that, it'd be easier to see. And what this does, the actual pins will push into a copper brace, which goes all the way round, and it pushes it into the either your eyepiece or whatever your attachment you have in there. It's okay. I've not used it. I'm reluctant to use it from my 72 ED days from Skywatcher, where I used obviously the fill flattener, put it into their basic attachment, the screw threads, which grubbed screws, which are literally just 2-point grub screws. During the night in the winter, it basically loosened, and my entire camera, all the attachments came flinging out. Luckily, nothing was damaged. Happened twice in the same night, so I went and bought a click lock from Badar. So I'm very reluctant to use slide-in attachments. I definitely much want to use threaded attachments on cameras, especially when you've got really expensive cameras and filters and everything else all in the back here, sitting at the back here. For that to drop out and hit the ground and damage it is a real issue. Not as a serious issue. It's a serious issue, but it can happen. Doesn't mean it will happen, but it can happen. But where they've got the brass and round on the inside here, so when you tighten up the lock threads, it does tighten on a slightly larger area, but it's still pressure from a single point. 2 inches has 3 of these, and the 1.25 has 1. Like I said, I won't be using those to attach anything apart from visual views. For astrophotography, thread your cameras in. Much simpler, much safer. Negatives. Negatives wise, the field flattener. I've said it right for the video. It's okay. It does. It's really nice. Really good. Really well made. Beautifully made. It's, high quality stuff. But I can't see a justification of £200 for a field flattener, or $200, so £160. But where it's only available on their website at the moment, you have to pay tax, and that's what kicks it up to nearly 200 quid. I can't justify 200 or 180 or 190 pound on a field flattener when you can get the slot-in field flattener from OVL at £89. Either they have to reduce the price or bundle it with the reducer. But if you're going to buy this scope, get the reducer flattener. It's much more value for money. Like I said, comparing it to other companies, it's cheaper than other companies make for their field flatteners, reducers. But the field flattener itself, I can't justify that one at all. Be very rarely I'll use it. Very, very rare. I'll be using the reducer. Like I said, the shoes, fantastic otherwise. Other couple of things, like I said, is the rotator. No notches on the rotator, so you can't see where you are and how much you've rotated. If you have ASI, yeah, you do have the ability to use it by computerized. You can see it like that, but you can't see it on this. Apart from that, it's a very good scope. It's like I say, it's about £400, I believe. Did I say it's £400? I probably even got it written down. No, it's about £400. Obviously, keep in mind taxes. This is only available on the main website at the moment. And obviously, yeah, it will go up in price, but it can be about £400 by the time you get into UK waters. But apart from that, absolutely fantastic upgrade. The adaptions on the shoe, which extends it up so you can get the EAF installed, brilliant. Don't have to rotate nothing to get it all to fit, like the EDPH II. Yeah, much better improvement. As I say, this is going to be my wide field scope. Impressed with it. Yeah, very impressed with the quality of the build. Some snaggy little bits and pieces, but I'm not going to worry about those too much. That's only minor issues. The big gripe for me is, one, this isn't available in UK waters. Obviously, bear in mind in the UK. There's no in shop in the UK. It sells the EDPH III, only the 2. That's easily rectified, but the big one gripe for me is the fill flattener. Can't justify it, not for that price. But the reducer, fantastic. Yeah, good price. It's small, compact, goes into the back, only has a slight bit of weight on there. Very small, compact scope. This should work on the Skywatch EQ 5 Pro, not the HEQ, the normal EQ that will run on it. This is lighter than my Skywatch 72 ED by a long shot. Yeah, it's good scope. But I've got to say, I've got a full review on this on my website. Have a look, have a read. It's got in-depth website. It will show you all the pictures, all the CCD usabilities, dimensions, absolutely everything. All the details you can need for this scope will be on my website. Have a check out. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.